Well, Rob, we are lucky to even be recording today because I have had a long tale of woe with Comcast and my internet service.
Well, I consider myself lucky anytime I get to record with you, but
Well,
particularly today.
particularly today, because up until today, I very often would be stuck with a period of time during the day that was like, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours long with my cable modem rebooting every 5 to 10 minutes. And when it reboots, it knocks the connection offline, and it's really hard to have a Skype call when you don't have a constant connection to the internet. And that is also very problematic when you record multiple podcasts, and especially problematic when you're trying to deal with probably the busiest very busiest week of the entire year at Mac Stories, which was last week when Federico's review came out, which, believe it or not, Federico puts all the words on the page, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes on around that involves me and other people. So everybody ends up busy when Federico's busy on that, and not having a good connection to the internet was driving me crazy and also very difficult. So I was lucky enough that T-Mobile did this thing. I don't even know what the promotion is called anymore, but they basically they're offering an LTE hotspot for free with 30 gigabytes of data for 30 days and no strings attached. So you just fill out a form on the web. They send you the hotspot. You've got 30 gigs or 30 days, whichever comes up first, and you're set. And then the hope is then that you'll sign up for actually ongoing service, which I haven't done. But I had this hotspot, and so I spent an awful lot of time the last week and a half to 2 weeks running off of that, including recording an episode of App Stories that way and doing a bunch of writing and a bunch of other things throughout the week. So, yeah, it wasn't great, but I'm glad T-Mobile kind of coincidentally came through for me, so I didn't completely blow out my data on my AT&T plan, which is what I have my phone and iPad on. So I survived the month under my caps and with data to spare, and now I've got, I think, a solid connection to the internet once again.
Nice, yeah. Not sponsored by T-Mobile. But...
No. And you know what? I figure, though, if this deal's still going on, I would suggest it to anybody because you get this free hotspot, and, it doesn't hurt to have one of those things as a backup, because what I can do with it is next time I'm traveling in Europe, I can pick up a SIM and drop it in there and use it for local data. Or if I have a month where I'm traveling in the U.S. even a lot, and think I'll maybe blow through my AT&T data, I can just pick up, 10 or 20 gigs for a particular month and use the hotspot. So, yeah, I think it's a nice thing to have. I'm become very paranoid about my connection to the internet, and so I have many different ways to stay connected. And now T-Mobile has joined the club as one of my backup solutions.
Well, I mean, internet is fairly important for you to be able to do your job.
Yes, it pretty much is my job.
It's understandable you'd want a bunch of different options. Those dongles, the sort of little dongles that you get, it gives you data, like, those seem to be really popular maybe like 5-10 years ago in the UK, and then they sort of disappeared, and now they seem to be coming back again.
I'm not really sure why.
Which is kind of weird, because you'd expect, you would have expected at this point that Wi-Fi would be, way better and sort of kind of everywhere. But I guess maybe it's not, because I sort of keep seeing adverts for this kind of stuff.
Yeah, it was kind of the same way in the U.S., I think, where they were very popular for a while and then died off and have made a comeback. And what I've found is, I'll sometimes go into a coffee shop where I know they have Wi-Fi, and for whatever reason, it's just not working. And if I have this in my bag, it is kind of a nice, fallback if you need that kind of thing. So that's been pretty handy to have. The thing that was most frustrating about the rebooting of the modem was that because my Wi-Fi network was still up, it looked like I had a connection. Like when I looked in the menu bar on my Mac or whatever, it looked like I had a connection, but then I'd be doing something and just something wouldn't load. And it's because it had just started rebooting and kicked me off the network. I got to be such a pest with Comcast. They love me now. Because Comcast, I raged at them in DMs yesterday for like hours. I mean, back and forth about this. I've had 2 techs and a crew with a bucket truck out to my house. And through this all, I have had every piece of cable replaced from the house out to their little post in the back of the lot, as well as the internals of the post mostly replaced, all within the last 10 days, because I was not going to take anything other than perfect internet access, for an answer. So
Absolutely. Well, you got all the stuff replaced. It's hopefully should be fine now.
I hope so. And at the end, I'll probably find out, oh, well, I guess it was my modem was just no good. So now I have to get a new modem.
You're right. You just got like a faulty socket or something.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that was my tale from what is one of the more stressful weeks of the year. So most of that's behind us, except for the fact that Catalina is still coming out sometime in October, and that's my big review that I write. So it's mostly finished. It's almost the first draft's mostly finished, at least. But October could mean next Tuesday. So you got to kind of work on that a little bit more in the next few days.
Yeah, this leads me on nicely to the next thing on our list. I'm really hoping Catalina comes soon.
Yeah.
Firstly, because I've upgraded my reminders because, I wanted the new features and I just felt like I was accidentally going to hit it at some point. Firstly, the upgrade button. This is in reminders on iOS 13.
Right.
You press that upgrade button and it says, oh, we'll upgrade your reminders to the new format. And then all of them disappear. And every single reminder, you've just got blank reminders. And I was sat there and Jess did it at the same time. And it's the only sort of to-do management that me and Jess use. And we both pressed the button and we're like, oh, right, all of our reminders are gone. And this is, we have shared lists for like the wedding and for general house stuff, like taking out the trash and,
sure.
and doing various house things, shopping lists. We've got our own stuff in there. All of it just disappeared. It was like 20 minutes for all of it to come back. It would come back like one reminder at a time.
Wow.
And I now have this issue where I have a phantom reminder that comes up on my watch every single day. It doesn't show on my phone, so it notifies me on my watch, but it's not in Notification Center on my phone. And this reminder doesn't exist anywhere in any of my lists. I don't really know what to do about it.
Well, I'm not sure there's much you can do. I have the same thing for most of the summer, and mine actually got worse because they were repeating reminders, and every time the phantom would come up, it would add to the list. So every day at that time, I would get the same reminder plus the one from the day before, and it would snowball. So there at 7 p.m., I had a few that were set up for like 7 p.m., things to do in the evening. And before too long, I was getting like 30 or 40 notifications on the dot at 7 p.m. every day, and it was driving me bonkers. And I don't know how it got fixed. I filed a bug report. I'm not even going to call it a radar because they aren't that anymore. They're feedback. I filed my feedback and it went away, but I don't know why it went away and if it went away just for me or if it went away for everybody. Obviously not if you've got it. I know talking to Stephen Hackett, he's had some terrible problems. He was troubleshooting a shared list with his wife, and eventually he got that list to sync and to work on both their phones. But then in the process of toggling reminders off and then on again on his phone, he wiped out everything else in his reminders.
Yeah, this is what I've now done is I've basically just took a screenshot of every reminder that I've got that's sort of, further than like a week away.
Right.
Because like I say, because there's stuff in there that's repeating or, very specific days to remember this thing for this meeting or, remember that thing. So I've taken some screenshots so that if anything else goes wrong, at least I've got a copy of it.
Right.
But this reminders thing, like I know it was only 4 days in the end. It was from, or whatever it was, Thursday to Monday between 13 and 13.1. But we're still sat here with no date for Catalina at all.
Right.
Which for me, because I'm on my Mac most of the day, like, that's kind of important. Like, that's where I really want to be doing reminders and stuff like that. The fact that there's just no date for it yet, it's just, it's October sometime. So, as you say, it's sometime between sort of the beginning of next week and a month's time.
Right, which is a pretty big window, obviously. And I will say that my bet is that it's going to be sooner rather than later. And the reason for that is because they moved up 13.1. And my guess is that part of the urgency of moving that up was to try to get all devices on the same platform for things like reminders, even if it maybe, I guess, is still kind of broken. And that's a problem with the Mac too. Plus you've got Arcade, which is advertised as being available on the Mac. And who knows, people started their 30-day free trial. By the time the free trial is over, they may still not have any games on the Mac. Not that the Mac is very good for any games, but still, it's part of what the service is supposed to be for. So I kind of feel like it's going to be soon. And I'll add to that the beta 9, which came out yesterday, is a market improvement over any of the previous ones, because I was having still quite a lot of bugs with beta 8, and I have not noticed as many with beta 9. So it might be getting closer. I don't know. I've been living on Catalina now for at least a month. It's been a little rough here and there, but it's not too bad. I mean, I haven't gone back into, probably the worst app for me has been books. And the only reason I don't really read books on my Mac very much, but when we were doing Federico's iOS review for the club, we do an ebook. And so I do end up generating a bunch of ebooks as tests and looking through them. And that app was just so broken. And it also just kind of like has had the audiobooks bolted onto it without a lot of thought, I don't think. So it's not a great app. I will tell you too that if you have a very recent fully spec'd Mac Mini, if you open 30 copies of a 400 megabyte EPUB file, it starts bringing the system to its knees.
That's good to know.
Yeah, because I did that about a week ago. I didn't realize that I had opened all 30 copies, and then so I had to delete a bunch of the extras. But it was taking up a lot of memory, I think.
Yeah, I'll make a note of that in case I ever think about doing it. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Apple Arcade thing is kind of weird, as you say. I don't really care about playing games on my Mac, but as you say, like that is part of the service they're claiming to offer.
Right.
And, I know it's only a few days, and in the grand scheme of things, these aren't massive problems, but the service is very incomplete right now. We've only just had, the iPad and Apple TV was Monday, or yesterday actually, Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesday.
And yeah, the Mac's just kind of still sitting here, and I'm like, and do I really want to upgrade straight away? I probably don't, because I need to do my job on this laptop.
Yeah, there are things that happen. Like like when I use Logic on Catalina, it's a disaster, because usually when I would drag a half an hour sound file into Logic, it would take, I don't know, 3, maybe 4 seconds to kind of load into the UI. Now a 30-minute sound file will take probably 15 minutes to load into the UI. So if I'm editing a conversation between me and Federico, that's each of us have a 1 hour sound file, it's going to take me an hour just to get to the point where I can start editing it, which is ridiculous. And I'm not sure what's going on there. I don't know. And that's part of the problem with some of this stuff, is that you don't know whether these bugs, especially when you're talking about things like reminders, you don't know whether the software's broken or whether iCloud's broken or where these bugs are coming from, because there's so many weird edge cases and things that happen that, and some of my stuff I'm sure got messed up over the summer when I was in iOS 13, and it's still kind of like legacy bugs that I think my iCloud is somehow fundamentally screwed up, because I have like a spreadsheet that's not syncing, and I had a whole bunch of my shortcuts ended up with duplicates that were conflicted copies with no data in the variables. So I basically had to start my entire library of shortcuts over again from scratch. That was another thing that happened last week. I was not a happy person by the end of the week.
Yeah, the iCloud stuff just makes it very difficult, because there's no real source of I know it exists in iCloud, but all you can really do with that data, especially for something like reminders or notes, is you kind of just either you deal with it or you just nuke the whole lot and start again.
Right, because it's
which
just
is
a black
certainly
box.
my plan for eventually. I'm probably just going to have to do this to fix this phantom notification, because I don't need to be reminded of something that I didn't even know what the reminder was for at this point.
I think mine finally just went away when I updated to a subsequent beta. And, that's the problem, too, with iCloud. It's like, just because that's the way it resolved itself with me doesn't mean that that'll work for you, especially since you're having the issue now, and I had it back in July.
Right, exactly. I deliberately avoided the betas and didn't install. I had it on my iPad, but that doesn't really count because I don't use it very much. But, I deliberately avoided this stuff, waited for release, and then, it's all kind of gone really badly. But, it is what it is. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. It's just these annoying little things.
Yeah, no, there's no doubt that there are a lot of little paper cuts all over these operating systems, and I, to some degree, I get used to them. Like, I'm very tolerant of them during the summer because they're meant to be that way. They are, in fact, betas. So you can only complain so much because you're doing it to yourself. But once these things get released, they ought to work. And, sure, there's going to be bugs, but they ought to, for the most part, work. And I just do know that a lot of people are still having issues, which is too bad.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I guess we'll see how it goes when Catalina comes out.
And speaking of arcade, are you signed up for arcade? Are you doing the trial?
No, I'm not doing the trial yet.
Right.
I'm not doing the trial yet because I was waiting for the TV to update.
Oh, it did. It did yesterday.
Right, which I did update. And actually, the TV app now doesn't show you what you want to watch next in the big banner thing at the top on the home screen. Oh no, you get adverts now. Great. That's brilliant. I keep getting a trailer for some Minions thing. Of course, why would I want to see the stuff that I've been previously watching? No, it's fine.
I haven't really used it much, but I did fiddle around with it a little bit. I do like that control center thing that you can open up. I think if I remember right, you long press the TV button and it slides.
That is correct.
Slides out from the side, and you can switch users, control, like I think the sound source, and a few other things. That's kind of nice. I haven't played any games on it yet. I am kind of looking forward to doing that, though. I mean, I really like playing games on the iPad Pro though with a controller. It's a great experience. It's like having a massive Switch.
Yeah, it's slightly less portable. Maybe can't fit that in your pocket. Although you can't fit a Switch in your pocket either. So
no, not unless you have very big pockets.
But yeah, I mean, now I've updated. I'll grab a PS4 controller, that paired, and give it a go at some point. I think because it's only 30-day trial, I kind of want to make sure I'm ready.
Yeah.
I don't want to just sign up willy-nilly. I want to sign up when I'm ready to play.
Right.
And I know that there's a couple of the games that aren't on the TV yet, which are coming. So they're on the phone and the iPad, but they haven't got the TV versions yet, but apparently those are coming. So
yes, I actually went through and counted, and I think as of when I looked yesterday, and it's kind of a moving target, but there were roughly 71, 72 games in Apple Arcade, and 65 of them were on the TV, which I was pretty impressed with. I'm going off of Killer Cow's list. You know who Killer Cow is on Twitter? Because Killer Cow used to be a reporter at Pocket Gamer and maybe Touch Arcade, and has a Airtable list of everything that's on Apple Arcade. Because it's really not that easy to navigate. I think they're still figuring out the UI of that store tab, because yesterday all the editorial content had disappeared. Today it's back. They have categories and big banners for certain games, but a lot of games are buried under the show all button at the very bottom of the screen. And from there, they're at least now, they're supposedly in chronological order, and they have like dates for when they were released. But as I think Benjamin Mayo at 9 to 5 pointed out on Twitter this morning, the ones that were listed for like as having been released today and yesterday and the day before were all released on the first day. So it's all very strange and inconsistent and weird. But the games themselves are really good. There's a really nice variety, and there's a lot of really solid games on there. I just haven't had the time to sit down and play them. much. I'm going to actually spend a few hours tonight playing games for my job, because we're going to talk about Apple Arcade on App Stories, and that's my way of forcing myself to play games. Why don't we do a show about Apple Arcade and tell people about our favorite games? Well, you're going to have to play at least a few of them to pick out the ones you want. I think I've downloaded like 14 games on my iPad.
Yeah, I might give it a go this weekend if I get time. But like I say, I want to sign up and then at least have a couple of hours to kind of dig around and try out a bunch of different games.
Yeah, exactly. I think Mike told me that he downloaded 45 games. I said, you do know that you're telling me you downloaded 45 games the first day, and there were only like 53 games on the service the first day. Did you really download all but like 5 games? And he said yes.
Yeah, Mike is a bit of a fiend when it comes to the mobile games.
I guess so. Especially, tell him that they're all, all you can eat games, and he just like downloaded the whole raft of them. Basically, there's only a couple that he left out.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, talking of games, quote unquote proper games, AAA games, whatever you want to call. Yes. Proper games is terrible. That's a terrible way. You get console games. Bigger budget, I guess. So The Last of Us 2 has got a new trailer, which I haven't watched because I still haven't played the first one.
I haven't watched the trailer yet either. I've been meaning to, but I probably will in the next couple of days, because I don't think I'm going to get around to playing it anytime soon. And I have not played the first game either myself.
Yeah, and the first game is going to be free on PlayStation Plus next week, or next month, which of course it is, because I bought a physical copy about 3 or 4 weeks ago. But yeah, the release date for this, I think it's like February 2nd or something, and they've announced the standard edition and the middle edition, and then the collector's edition that comes with a really nice statue and steelbook and badges and stuff like that. I haven't even played the first one, and I'm already looking at the collector's edition. I'm like, I could probably buy that.
Yeah.
So I'm maybe going to try and play the first one at some point, and then I can convince myself that I need the collector's edition.
Did they even show that game off again at E3 this year? I don't think they did, that I remember. Maybe I missed it.
I think there might have. Was it this year or was it last year?
It was the year before I think it was the year before where it made the big splash and everybody got excited about it. I'm pretty sure that was 2018.
Oh, yeah, of course, because Sony weren't at E3 this year because they skipped it.
Right. Exactly.
Which is why we didn't see anything.
That explains it. All right. Yeah. So that's why there's a trailer now. So I should watch it, because it's been more than a year now since I heard anything about this game. I thought that original trailer looked fantastic. I thought it looked like a great game. But, I've got all these arcade games, plus I did start playing Link's Awakening over the weekend. And that game is a whole lot of fun. I really like it a lot.
It looks amazing.
They have
it's on my list to buy.
Yeah, they have a really good collector's edition there. I'll tell you, Federico sent me some pictures from the art book that came with it, and it's pretty neat, pretty nice, evolution of what Link was animated to look like and that kind of stuff. If you're interested in kind of the making of type information.
I am. I saw it, and I didn't order it because I was like, it was like whatever it was, £70 or £80, and I thought, no, I'll wait. And of course, now it's going to be one of those things that's probably sold out forever. So I try not to think too much about whether it's available or not. But I might get lucky, because for this kind of stuff, I tend to keep an eye on eBay, Facebook Marketplace, places like that. People will get rid of this stuff fairly quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
Because people sort of buy these collector's editions and then regret them immediately.
There, I just sent you the excerpt from the book that Federico sent me. Yeah, I ordered some of those SNES controllers that Nintendo's offering with the new, all the the SNES games that were announced as part of the online thing. Yeah, I got those for Christmas gifts for my kids, and one for me, of course.
Of course. Well, yeah, it'd be rude not to.
Yeah, exactly. Got to have a family of them so everybody can play.
Yeah, absolutely.
Those are some good games on the SNES online thing now. Played some of those too.
Yeah, do you know what? I haven't looked at any of those yet.
Oh,
I kind of saw the announcement, but I've been so busy I just haven't had a chance to take a look at them.
They've got a lot of good stuff in there. Like, they've got some Zelda stuff and Super Metroid, and I don't know. I know Mario Kart, and there's just a lot of good games. I was playing those because that whole thing was easier to download when my internet was going in and out than Link's Awakening. Link's Awakening took nearly 2 hours to download because when a download gets interrupted, it just pauses indefinitely. It doesn't pick back up once you get a new connection, so you have to go in and physically restart it. Thanks, Nintendo. So if you don't know
that time, you could have had an Amazon delivery driver.
I know,
because
if you don't notice that it's been paused, you're playing another game. You have to come out of the game. You're like, oh, it's paused again. Hit it again. Get another 5% pause. It was terrible, but I eventually got it and played for a little bit.
Nice. Cool. Well, it was nice to get back to some games because we haven't done that for a while.
No, we haven't.
It's been a bit quiet in terms of games because, I think everything's kind of winding down now. Like this Last of Us 2 comes on 2 discs, which tells me 2 things. One, they're pushing the PS4 to the limit.
Yep.
And 2, we're 100% getting a remaster of this on the PS5.
Yeah, I would think so. I hope so. Maybe it'll probably take that long for me to get to it, so that's fine with me.
Yeah, I have been thinking that. I don't know. I'm going to try and get the first one out and see if I actually want to play the second one straight away, which I probably will.
Yeah, put it a little further down the list, and then maybe you can just luck out and do it on a PS5.
Yeah, well, I had a copy of Last of Us on PS3 and never played it. So
there you go.
So I've gone from the PS3 to the PS4 and I still haven't played it, and we're basically at the point where there's going to be a PS5 sequel, so
wow,
who knows. But cool. Well, should we wrap it up for this week?
Sounds good.
Right. Well, we will be back. Presumably, we'll probably be back in a couple of weeks, unless there's any problems. And yeah, we'll speak to you soon.
Okay. Talk to you later, Rob.